Today's episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio is brought to you by Gamers Inn, your one-stop location for all your gaming needs. Located in Lehigh City, Utah, their fun and friendly staff will be more than happy to answer any of your gaming needs. Just remember, Gamers Inn, it's where adventures begin.
It's time to power up.
Autobots, roll out!
Broadcasting live from the DCR studio.
Oh yeah!
The Geek Revolution starts here.
Excellent!
Get ready for the #1 hit geek radio show out there.
Well, it is impressive, isn't it?
Because it's time for Dungeon Crawlers Radio.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers, where we're going to talk about that thing that everyone does. but
Hither and
doesn't do.
hearken to this call that we answer to thee. We prayeth thee. Write upon the parchment.
Pen to paper, paper to pen, fingers to keys, and all in between. We're talking the process of writing today.
That's it. I have nothing to add to that, but that.
Lyrical,
And with
though the
special
words may
guests.
be.
Yeah, we got Bob Defendi here. If you were listening to the last show, you heard
I'm not
him
taking over this time.
do the interview. He's not taking over, but he's going to add lots of
He said that
information.
twice now. I get the sudden feeling that he's going to take over.
I'm just going to talk a hell of a lot. That's what it's going to be.
You think I'm bad?
And then we have Eliza Crosby on the show. If you listen to the Psych show, you'll remember her because she's a Psych fan. And hey, look, we have a Psych movie coming for Christmas.
Wait, whoa,
Shocker.
what?
Yeah.
Have they given us a date?
Dude, I go on vacation
It will
for a
be
week and
sometime
whole
in
loses it.
December around Christmas. So yeah, that they announced that just a few weeks ago, and yeah,
Between
which is
that
really weird because they were just here at Salt Lake Comic Con.
They weren't allowed to talk about it, though.
And they weren't talking.
Oh, yeah.
They were very specifically not allowed to talk about
Yeah,
it.
I'm sure they
But they
weren't.
very specifically mentioned certain people that they were not allowed to talk about something with. That
Yeah.
they had not
Right.
talked about anything because they could not talk about it with.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I know what you're talking about, but I still, from that, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
December.
Yep.
December.
Between-
Countdown's on. Who
but-
cares about Christmas?
And the
Oh,
countdown.
dude, between that
Hold on,
and...
Star Wars. I'm still counting down to Star Wars. Where does that
Oh.
fall with Christmas?
December 15th.
Yeah, see?
That's where it
That's
falls
where
with
my
Christmas.
clock's. When does Sight come out?
December 17th?
Yep.
Well, that's gonna just...
Yeah.
Let's just hope it doesn't go the way of Entourage. While Good was a
I don't know.
colossal
They're brave to go
monetary
against Star Wars. But,
failure.
hey, we can have Star
It's
Wars
a
one day
TV
and then
movie.
Psych the other one.
We're
It's
good.
a TV movie, so
We're good.
everybody can watch it
Yes.
in their psych pajamas. And
So,
was that
but
you do.
Pineapple pajamas.
yes.
Pineapple pajamas.
But besides the
Special-
pineapple, let's talk about writing.
Right in!
We got to get to writing, otherwise we're going to go on a tangent of everything.
I was
Yes,
just
let's rip off these pajamas and get to the
before we
writing.
hit record. I was just
Hello.
about to tell Eliza that the great thing about your third contract is the contract negotiations, because they send you the contract and you write back and you say, "Hey, can I just send you back all the changes we did last time, and we'll just pretend like all the arguing already happened and this is what we came to?" And he wrote back, "Yeah, that would save a lot of time." Do that. And
Yes.
I sent him the contract, with all the marks, and yeah. It's way better. It's
Yes.
way better.
just send the contract back to myself, back and forth. Back and forth.
How does
Talk
that
to
work?
myself. Does that work?
So I deny these, and I want these stipulations, and then you're like, what the crap are they doing?
That's right. That's right.
Then when you
Wow.
treat yourself out to a business lunch and throw your own napkin down and leave yourself hanging because you don't like the way it turned out,
It's
Wow.
a very dramatic process.
and you leave
I will
yourself,
say
you
that.
stiff yourself
Yes.
with the bill,
Can I just say this, that I am in a room of men with great heads of hair.
Thank you.
I'm wearing a hat, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Still,
We're real pretty.
My hair can change any color it wants. Any color, as long as it stays on my head, I'm happy.
Really?
What are you doing? Are you trying
Oh, I have some ideas now.
to... He's going to kill
We
me.
know where
I
you
know he's gonna
sleep,
kill
Scott.
me.
You know that, right? And your wife will not care.
No,
if
no,
we
no.
can't- No. Like
We'll leave the hair.
We'll
No,
just-
yeah, he's
we'll-
just going to be red.
Atomic purple.
No.
I can do red. actually have colored hair gel, and I'll sometimes sneak it in there.
No,
just
I
to
don't
see if
think
anyone
red. I
notices.
think we need to go something bright and neon. Hair and beard.
Like atomic purple hair and like this.
And then
contrasting eyebrows. Don't forget
and
the contrasting eyebrows.
And then we send you out on the Comic-Con floor asking random questions.
Hold on.
that-
This is no longer in a book. This is reality?
Yes. And
Now
all
we've
the
crossed the line
questions
here.
are randomly written by people that were standing in the Comic-Con line.
And then they'll think you're cosplaying a troll.
I think I prefer McKay's Ask Snorlax. Let's do it. Break it down. All right.
All right.
Oh, we have our new
Ladies and
video.
gentlemen, that is
So-
the writing process.
I have an idea.
That's how it works. And then you get sidetracked by the internet for 5 hours. And then you have to go back.
Wow.
I don't
you're
have
good.
that problem.
5 hours? I've been doing it for like 5 months. Like, I tell you, man, those cat videos, they just get you.
Honestly, though, when you sit down
Helps
to
if your
write, you
brain
look at
functions.
your blank screen, and what? And then you're like, I got nothing, so I go where?
Then I put on the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 Awesome Mix, and then I can't decide whether I should be dancing like Baby Groot or writing, because the first song is the opening credits song,
I am
and
Groot.
I just want to dance like Baby Groot.
Yeah.
And then you just bite the bullet, go buy a ticket, and go back to the theater and watch it again, and then you're just your whole day.
See, I don't have the problem of spending time on the internet. I just go play a video.
My
game.
biggest problem on the internet. Okay, so the first
It's ridiculous.
3 Death by Cliche novels I had. Well, you could debate how humorous they were, but they were humorous chapter quotes that I wrote myself, right?
Yeah.
And so for the 5th book, and the 4th, I did something completely different. The 5th book, I decided, hey, I'm going to get real quotes, and the gag is going to be that every time I write a quote, it's Bob Defendi quoting somebody else, right? And I just stolen all of these quotes, right? Way harder than just writing the damn things myself. I've had to dedicate an entire writing session every week to finding the quotes for that week, because it takes me as long to find 4 quotes as it does 4 relevant quotes, humorous relevant quotes, as it does to actually write an entire 1,500 words.
So does that count towards all your research? Just finding quotes?
I don't really need a lot of research because my brain is full of lots of garbage.
Yeah.
I guess that's the definition of shooting yourself in the foot, really.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah. When it comes to like chapter headings, I just write chapter 1, chapter 2, because I've seen people that come up with like cool chapter titles, and I'm just like, no.
This is the first time I've ever done chapter titles in book 5, and it's
Yeah.
because book 5 is a heist con novel. And you know how you have that Ocean's 11 scene where they're going through and explaining the con at the beginning?
Yeah.
Well, I have that scene early in the book, and every chapter in the book is a step in the plan.
Oh, nice.
So you'll get to like instead of chapter 21, it's step 21. Everybody does the tango or whatever the step is, right? And
But that
Mission
works though.
Impossible.
Yeah.
right, yeah. And hopefully by the end they will be radically different from what's actually happening in the chapter as things go like wildly off plan.
Yes.
So the titles adds to the juxtaposition to the comedy of it is but it isn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, I said that and it didn't even make sense to me. I apologize.
It made sense.
Okay.
You need to read this book. You do. It's awesome.
I love like con movies. Like people say what they want. I thought Ocean's 13 was genius.
Is the hardest damn thing I've ever
Oh.
plotted. Oh my god.
I know for a fact I'm trying to write like short story cons. You can't let the characters drive you. It is everything's got to be so meticulous.
It is like cogs fitting together.
Oh,
Every
it's like
scene has to
building
be
a watch.
doing three purposes. Yeah.
And you can't mammoth it. You can't
Yeah.
get in late, get out early, and not explain anything. You got to explain everything.
I almost
while
want to
not
try this just to
explaining.
prove you wrong now.
It's so hard.
Well, see, here's
Daniel
one of the
doesn't-
things.
he's not
Here's one of the
arguing
things
at all.
about. Here's one of the things about a heist novel. You've got to be planting. Like every good like con heist novel, you have your sneaky bit.
Yeah.
That you're teasing all throughout the thing, so that at the end, when you find out what's really going on, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, there's the evergreen tree hanging from the van the entire movie, and we've just been missing it, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you have to know every little detail like that at the very beginning of the first page.
yeah, 'cause you have to
you got to
plant
be laying
those
them on,
seeds.
or you got to take a train wreck when you're done with the first draft and go back and rewrite it from scratch and turn it into something coherent.
Gotcha.
You got to know A to B to C to D to E to F to and then realize at the end it's a complete. You basically for that kind of a story you have to write 2 stories. The one that the audience thinks is happening, and then the one that the characters know is happening. And hint at it just right, and it's so
I have
hard.
3. I have the
Holy
the one that
crap.
the audience thinks is happening, the one that the characters think is happening, and the one that actually happens because the character's plan goes off the tracks too, right?
And then my brain just explodes.
And with writing, you can't use. I mean, it's not like looking at it through a cinematic lens. All my writing is for film and television, and with the freedom, I guess you could say, for that type of writing with cinematic usage is you're showing the audience exactly what you want them to see.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
They see the lens. That's it. That's all they can see. But with actual written novels, you got to build this world and make it descriptive and immersive, but without describing and immersing too much. And
Well, yeah, I mean, like what we see in Ocean's 11, we see everything happen and everything fall apart, but then they show, that those
that
the,
thing.
the flashback thing, whatever, and they show you all the other things that happen, and you're like, oh,
I saw it,
But
but I
you know
didn't
what?
see
That's
it.
not
Wow.
written. And I'll tell you
Yeah,
that,
that's
because
not written,
your
though.
book
Yeah.
won't have that detail. So when I write a script, all it's going to say is montage or
Yeah,
flashback.
yeah.
That's not going to have every single detail that character is going through in
Yeah.
their mind.
Well, and that's why
Yeah.
it's
We write
so
very
much
different
harder.
scripts.
That's why I think it's so much harder to do that type of story in a novel, and I applaud you for doing that. Is because, like you said, it's just montage or show this scene or flashback or it's easy with film.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, film. You're like
It's
"Ah,
still
I got this."
it's still one of the hardest
and
styles to write.
in
even
film,
for
you don't have to be inside the
but-
character's head. You have to be inside the character's head in the novel. So
Yeah.
you're walking
Oh, yeah,
a fine
literally.
line on what you could you can't tell the story where they lay out the plan from the point of view of the mastermind because the mastermind knows the plan. You have to
The plan's not
lay
the
out
plan, but it's the plan.
you have to lay out the plan from the point of view of one of the side characters because otherwise you're going to show all your hands to the reader in that scene. Things
Yeah,
like that.
my brain hurts just thinking about.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about where my editor was going through, and they were questioning things, but they didn't see the payoff later, or maybe a couple chapters later where I just filled that information in. So, you got to kind of build stuff up.
So as far as for the writing process,
Yeah.
Do you guys know the end from the beginning, or is it
I
kind
do.
of like an adventure?
For me, yes. Once I had my first paragraph, I knew where I wanted the book to end.
And obviously for
I usually do. I say I do. I usually do. There are times where I get to the ending and I walk into the climax and I'm like, oh crap, the plan, the good guy's plan doesn't actually work, and I just figured out why.
Yeah.
And then I'm writing the entire, and those are the best climaxes for me because I'm writing the entire climax in just sheer panic while I'm trying to figure out how he's going to get out of it because I've just realized that there's a logical flaw in his plan, and I didn't catch it until now. Yeah. And now I've got to come up with a surprising yet inevitable way for him to get out of it that I've laid in through the entire book that I didn't know I was laying in through the entire book because I didn't have this plan when I started. And those are the hard ones.
And right there, we've got two completely different school of thought. We've got, one where you lead the characters lead you, and the other is you got to have the A, the B, the C, the D, the thread inside the, you've got the romantic comedy versus the Inception or Sixth Sense, where all the hints are there and nobody noticed, and it was just so intense.
But no matter how much an outliner tells you he outlines or she outlines,
not enough.
They don't. There is some discovery writing. Like my climaxes, my outline for my climax is integrated climax, integrated climax, integrated climax, integrated climax with the character that it is. Because I know that once I get to the fight scene, I know the structure of a fight scene. I know how everything's set up. I don't know when I outline it what it's going to look like. You know what I mean? I usually know how it's going to end. I know a couple tricky bits in the middle. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's the way you write for film too. Is they fight, and then within that you're like halfway through they have this dialogue, or at the end of this is the realization they come to, and they're best friends and they end up hugging at the end or something. So I could completely understand.
That's a lot
that.
like what my outlines look like for a climax.
I just have to say, does anybody else feel like a 12-year-old and I just want to hear you say climax again?
You're just weird.
Sound effect.
See, I don't
Wow, no
I
sound.
don't outline at all.
I don't either.
I start.
Really?
Really.
How? How can you do that?
I have an idea.
You got to have some hella strong characters to pull that off.
It's It starts
Sort
out
of.
with because you have to have. What was that?
No, I.
Oh,
no,
he's
not
speaking
her.
for himself.
Not her.
Sorry.
I was talking for myself.
Ding, ding.
No, he was
Round
a,
one.
Hath been thrown
no.
down.
I've read her book. I loved it. But
was
no,
dissing
she was
himself.
saying he was saying that you have to have some really strong characters to do that, and I'm like, sort of. I mean, some of my characters weren't as well defined and plotted out, and they developed as I went on. Like my character Lenny. All I knew is he was a hacker,
Yeah,
a
pretty much.
computer geek that always got beat up, in high school and junior high, and he lived with his grandma.
So it was you?
No,
Okay.
but Lenny became a bigger character. As the character blossomed and flourished, he became a much bigger character. Literally, that's all I had was his description. By the end of the book, I have like 2 pages.
Well, that's the joy of discovery writing too,
Yeah.
because you've got a character that's pretty one-dimensional, and then as you throw him into situations, then you see how the character would react,
Yeah.
which gives him those personality traits which that could be
But
used
going
later.
going into my second book, all my characters are like fleshed out. I mean, it's a western. I need to know how the gunslinger acted, how he spoke, what his problems were.
That's why you asked me about that.
Yeah.
He sends me really cryptic messages over. And I'm like,
Well, hey,
What
I have
do
to
you
ask
mean?
questions.
I know.
That's how I figure out
Makes
things, is
sense.
by asking questions.
Context.
Some people hate
It's
it.
like, oh, let's see, who knows the most about? Oh, Liza
Yeah.
knows about the country.
Krista hates it because I'll ask her a random question. She's like, "Why are you asking me that?" Because I'm trying to figure out why this character would act that way.
You know what though? It's not surprising. I get a lot of that from
Yeah.
a lot of people. Really.
And then there's some
questions
people that I
and
know.
I always have to answer back with research ? And it usually is.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Then I have a bunch of people I know that would answer stuff. So if I ever needed something like Ghostbusters, it would be Scott or Wes.
I just get so many questions. They're like, how do you hide a body?
Pigs.
It's research.
Pigs.
Right.
Pigs are awesome.
Yeah.
They eat
Pigs
everything.
work.
I just answer them, even though they're not writers.
gross.
I just, I'll be like, yeah, no, seriously, you just dig down to a fresh grave, you pull out the coffin, you put it underneath the coffin, because as soon as they find a body, they stop looking.
Yep.
And then I move on.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That was actually like ripped from the headlines. No
But
joke,
at the same
3 months
time,
ago, they
Oh,
made
was
the
it?
body that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been telling people to do that for like years.
I'm not kidding. Like this dude who killed his wife like 20 years ago and came upon a shallow grave in a graveyard that had been dug the night before the day of the burial, and he dug down under what had already been dug, buried his wife, and for 20 years the guilt ate at him, and he confessed. This is like 3 months ago.
Wow.
This happened.
Who was this guy?
I have no idea. Some dude in Cincinnati or something. like
Okay,
that.
I know
It's just-
nobody in Cincinnati.
No,
Thank
it's
God.
just,
Not me. Not me.
no. This was like
Cincinnati double decker.
I'm very disturbed right now. But I'm
no,
sitting
seriously,
between
that
you two.
actually happened. I heard it on the radio. I'm like, holy crap! What? And then you just dropped. Sorry.
you
life
also live very
imitating art,
close to the
nothing.
West Desert, too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
There are coyotes out there. They'll eat it up.
Or just hot sun.
I've been reading way too much stuff on Western stuff and how they
Living out in
dispose
the
of
boonies is really getting
bodies.
to ya.
Yeah, nah. Maybe.
I've never had to
Overlooking
worry
the
about
lake,
getting rid of a
going,
body,
Geez, how
so.
do I get rid of this person?
He lives
Yeah,
in
but-
Saratoga Springs. That's not the
No.
boonies anymore.
However, if you drive,
I live in the boonies.
yeah,
Yes.
he's on the other side of the mountain from me.
Yeah.
Oh.
I will
Yeah.
never come to your house ever, Bob.
No, you won't. You won't.
But they
I
have
hate
beautiful
driving-
houses that
I
are very.
hate driving to Eagle Mountain, so just
Hey, they've got a gas station.
Yeah, we just got a gas station. We just got a gas station.
Yeah.
right?
But yeah,
No, we got one that's actually by my
like a
house. The
Chevron.
Maverick is 20 minutes away from my house.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're way on the other
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way.
Brief.
But no, like when you were saying like you're coming up with these ideas, you're doing research into these things. Believe it or not, I'm pretty sure this would, if I'm remembering the story right, Weekend at Bernie's, right?
Yeah.
How do you hide a body?
Yeah.
This dude was trying to write a horror movie on how to hide a body, and he had such a hard time trying to figure it out. He just ended up writing Weekend at Bernie's instead.
It's hilarious.
Because it's like, what do you do with the body? Well, and then Weekend at Bernie's at 2, and
And
then
sometimes
dances
you just write a
whatever.
whole book because you just want to tell a lot of Uranus jokes.
Yeah.
Um,
And you can do that.
Death by Cliche 5, ladies
Yep.
and gentlemen. On sale sometime in the future.
And
There
this
he
segment
goes.
brought to you in part by...
I could tell you about one of my villains, but no, I'm not bringing that up.
Well,
here.
see, and that's the other thing when it comes to writing is I have my idea, and then it's who's my villain? Who's going to oppose my characters? And I don't always know right in the beginning.
You know, I will say
And then I have
one
to
of
figure that out.
Best strategies that I ever learned, because I don't plot out my novel. I don't do it.
No.
But a few years ago, there was this guy that did this really awesome presentation called "Plot a Novel in an Hour."
Was it me?
Is it you?
Oh, look at
And I
that.
will tell you
Is it him?
something. It was absolutely inspiring because I don't do that. I don't plot. But when I get stuck, I always go back to that presentation because I know exactly, oh, okay, here's my villain, here's my protagonist, my antagonist, here's this, and then I'm like, then I have a half an hour to figure out where I'm taking the rest of it. And
I burn like 4,000 calories in like 45 minutes when I do those presentations.
But I just throw crap in there, and then I take out the crap, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that works.
Wow. See, for me, I just get on the treadmill, put on some good epic Pirates of the Caribbean music, and I'm away. But that's...
See, my thing with writing, too, like, I'm weird. Like, I can... It's
Yes,
hard
you
for
are.
me... Yeah.
So,
I'm in this room. It's really, really hard for me to come up with original ideas. But if somebody says, this guy goes here, I'm off and running. Like, I can't get that first step.
I'm
But
sure
I get that first step, I can just haul serious
I'm sure you
booty.
probably can.
Here's my
I've tried for
problem
10 years.
between writing a novel and writing a script, and I will tell you this: I can sit down and write a novel and write 12,000 words in a day, whatever. I sit down to write a script. I look, I'm like, yes, I got like, 50 pages done at least. It's like 600 words.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm like, I hate writing script. I mean, I get asked to do it all the time, but I
For me,
hate it.
I'm
I
not even
love
trying.
scripts.
Yeah,
I
but
love
50
scripts. I
pages
hate
is a
books.
quarter of a
Books.
movie.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm driving a stick shift. Like, stop, go, stop.
Well, I'm not
go.
even trying to write
Character, line,
the
character,
script.
line.
I'm just trying to get a story.
Really?
Boy meets girl. I can't that's the thing. I can't come up with boy meets girl. Somebody else tells me boy meets girl, and I'm like, yeah, they're at this place and at this time, but I can't come up with boy meets girl. I just have that block
Boy comes
on
running
that
down
first step.
the steps into the subway, trips over a dog, and lands into girl's arms.
And from there, I could give you an entire, 3-movie series. But I can't get that whole running down the stairs part. I literally...
You need to start. Once the engine starts,
Yeah,
you're off
once,
and away.
once the engine's run, I guess I'm a producer then. I mean, you just take somebody else's idea, run with it, take credit for it, and make money on it. I mean, that's...
See, for me, I'm a cheater. I just watch the movie in my head, and then I'm just writing along as they're going along. Oh, you do that? Okay.
See,
yeah,
and when I
that's
get
great.
Yeah, but-
stuck, I have to look up scripts going, did I say that right? Did I do that right? Or I have to call my script guy who works for Hollywood doctoring scripts, and I'm like, is this right? And he's like, no. You really suck at this. I'm like, well, then tell them to stop asking me to do it.
He's like,
The
oh,
worst
honey, you're
part
so
for
pretty.
me is when you write a line.
Pretty
you
much.
know.
That's why he's like, you're just a pretty face. You will never be good at this. Stick to the novel.
Sure.
But look at the bright side. When you're writing a book, though, you can write a line that's familiar, and you're like, oh, it just sounds right because it's familiar. In a movie, you can't do that because all of a sudden you're like, I know that line is from something.
You're ripping
I
it
know
off.
Is. I know. I wrote the perfect line for something that I really wanted to film, and for 3 months we went over this line, and we're like, oh, that's such a funny line. That's really familiar. And we find out it's from Toy Story.
I did that.
It is the
and I
perfect
Oh,
quoted-
I remember that. Oh.
This is no time to panic. Are you kidding? This is
the perfect time to panic.
We're like,
We
this
got
is familiar.
literally we wrote it, rewrote it, revision, script, set, rehearsals. It's like pretty much on set. We're like, and what, I don't even know if it was one of us. I think somebody else
We
was like,
Googled it. We
yeah,
Googled
we
it.
Googled it. We're like, what is this? We're like on set about to film it, and we're like, yeah, no, we can't do that.
Why not?
Because we were trying to do semi. Oh, no.
It's semi-original
Well,
stuff.
Here's
Alright.
what I wrote. So the script that I wrote is actually based on this stuff out here, like Game Shop, and this guy that's a total.
I'm
We
glad you
record in a
explained
game. We record in a game store just in case.
Dude,
people-
I just figured out how you could have made that work. The guy walks up and smacks him. Quit! You say, quit quoting Toy Story or something like that.
But the
You
mouse
have to be
takes a
very, very
big
careful
chunk,
about
dude.
this, and you have copyright
Alright.
issues too.
that. Yeah.
Oh, what we were doing, we didn't care.
Do you guys have any copyright issues when you're actually writing a book? Can you reference?
I referenced the Batcave in my book.
Very-
Songs are
Yeah,
a
but that's
problem.
but
Songs
things,
are
That's
things
general
is like
enough.
Americana,
Yeah.
especially if you're in the real world. Like you say,
Yeah.
you write for the real world, referencing like the Batcave without saying Batman
Yeah.
or something like that.
You can say
That's-
Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Fair
like
use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that's part of the vernacular, if you will. But if you like specifically like
You can't
Superman
say
4 Quest for
lightsaber
Peace,
if I
yeah.
remember right.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you can say lightsaber.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just trademarked, so you can't put it in a title.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't sell off the word lightsaber, but you can say lightsaber.
Okay,
It's
you can
your
put that
book.
in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like a whole list of stuff somewhere. I just can't remember.
Like I've seen movie quotes without permission. Granted, I think they were fair use movies because they were like 80 years old. But I've seen quotes and stuff like that in movies where the character just kind of goes on this tangent and just out of nowhere just quotes this movie. And as a reader, you just end up on the floor. You're laughing so hard you don't see it coming. But then the writer in you goes, how the hell did they pull that off?
I'm sure Kevin Smith doesn't get permission for all of his quotes in Kevin Smith movies.
Probably not.
It's just fair use. You know,
Yeah.
it's only a problem if people think that you are trying to pass it off as your own work when it's obvious that they're not.
As long as you reference it as,
Yeah.
think Clerks 2 and everything they talk about Star Wars and
Right.
all that other stuff. They're referencing other people's work and everything else.
Or it's almost parody-ish.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
guys have seen Fanboys, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so that whole thing between Star Wars and Star Trek, and I'm like, they didn't have a problem.
I don't know. That new Star Trek trailer just ignited a whole new feud. So.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
But
So
that's
the new
another
trailer
Yeah, it was
came
like
out.
yesterday.
One of the girls is dressed like Rey almost. It's funny, even down to the goggles
yeah.
on her head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
The guy who's on the other podcast, one of the guys who's on one of the other podcasts I do, said he's just convinced that it's just a giant troll on him personally, that it's never coming out, that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That all of the news about Star Trek Discovery is just a giant fake out against him personally.
Wow.
Jeff Bell, yeah, he's convinced.
Yeah, I know.
So I sent him the trailer and I'm like, dude, they're getting more elaborate on their trolling.
They really want to get you there, Mr. Truman.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed that Nathan Fillion isn't in it. I was really thinking he was going to be like. In
I'm
there.
kind of glad he isn't.
Oh, really?
But that Orville.
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 Oh my gosh, that looks.
I haven't seen the trailer yet. I just,
Oh, yeah.
Just from the trailer, I'm like,
oh,
sold.
please don't mess this up, Seth. Please.
Sold.
Oh, is that the
it's
one
with
with
Fox,
the,
though.
Star Trek-y
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there? Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
Fox.
It looks like it's Galaxy.
So it
Quest.
may not
really
survive a
does.
season.
Okay.
That's the problem, is
I
that
saw
it is
that today.
Fox.
Yeah.
And how many times did they cancel Family Guy? I just.
Yeah.
I hope,
Okay, they got rid of Firefly. Enough said.
Yeah.
I hope
And
that
other
it's
things.
funny.
Yeah.
I hope that it's.
you know,
Also,
I mean, it's the same reason why Supergirl went to CW. It was just too expensive to be.
Well, and the other
CBS
thing,
for
too.
ratings,
yeah.
but it wasn't too expensive to be on.
Yeah.
On CW it became a less expensive show as long as you got rid of Callista Flockhart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they did. Yeah.
Well, and the big thing, a lot of people don't realize the big thing. Sorry, I work
Well,
in
and CW
television.
is definitely
And
owned by
CW
CBS.
owns DC television. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah, they
the
do.
only way the network has stayed in business. Literally, Arrow saved the network. But
And Supernatural.
yeah,
Supernatural.
the Supernatural has been keeping it afloat. But they kind of ABC and CW, aka WB or whatever, they came to an agreement kind of the same way that Marvel and Sony did with Spider-Man. Is you're doing it and you can do it, but you got to give it back to us and we give creative license. They went and said, look, this is DC. DC still came in and said, look, we want all this together because we want you guys to expand the television universe, but you can't do that with ABC. They did it with that one crossover, and it was such a headache. Such a
the
huge
CBS,
thing
yeah.
that they did, so they ended up bringing it back. And
Well, the nice thing about CBS does own CW.
yeah,
So it was an easy move for them, to be honest.
Right.
They cut their budget a lot.
Yeah.
We got different sets. We got less spectacular special effects, but it's still good. It's still solid writing and stuff
it's
like
back
that.
down on the line of
Yeah.
like Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow and
I still
Flash.
think Legends of Tomorrow is probably the most expensive property
Oh,
they
it is.
have,
It's
just
so
because of all the
pricey.
special
And the
effects.
most terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, we're tangents.
It's getting
cosines.
better. But no, I mean, well, again, it kind of comes down to writing because you do have there's some good writing episodes,
Oh yeah.
and then there's a lot of bad ones. Yeah.
Wasn't that how
If your
most shows
writing's
are?
not spot on, then you've got
No, normally there's a lot of good shows and a couple bad ones. Unless it's Gotham.
Ouch.
And we remind everybody that Daniel hates everything.
Yes.
Today on
No,
Daniel
no,
Hates
I'm with
Everything.
him on Gotham. Gotham, on our comic book podcast, JC has taken the bullet and he still watches Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
We all hate it so much. He's
Yeah.
the one who's still watching it. I'm the one who's still watching Gotham.
Yes,
because
that's right.
one of
Bring
us,
it right here.
I hate it. I despise it with every fiber of my being.
I don't like
but
you
I'm the one
anymore.
who's taking the bullet and watching
Watching
Gotham
it.
so that we still have one person who's watching Gotham.
Yeah.
Right.
Although, no, come on. It's like a train wreck. You know you should look away, but you just can't.
Oh, I
no.
can.
I looked away.
I could.
I looked
if I
away.
didn't have to watch it for the damn show.
I totally looked
You're all
away.
burning. You're all going to burn it.
I do it for my
It
job.
is a fun show. I'm still
No.
standing by it,
No.
and I enjoy it. So,
They lost me when they killed Nora Freeze. Yeah.
They lost me with the
Spoilers.
prison costumes in season
Yeah,
2.
there was that too. But Nora Freeze was like the end. It was cutting the rope, the giant weight or
That's
piano
fine.
slammed
That's
down
fine.
on it, killed
You
it.
can have your opinion.
Yeah.
I have my opinion of the Flash.
I don't care if they follow the comics as long
You have
as
your
they
opinion of
just
the Flash?
have
Whoa,
any kind of
Yeah,
quality
yeah.
writing.
Well, yeah, well Gordon flip flop.
Like a big mushroom cloud.
Seriously.
You and me can't be friends anymore, sir.
We
I
all have
wish.
our opinions,
I know,
and
right?
all opinions are welcome,
Things that you wish you could
even
just
when
jump
they're
in and
wrong,
fix.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if I could write
So,
those.
going back to
going.
the writing
I don't
that
know if I
we
could
were
write that
talking
shit.
about.
I mean, like, I'm watching sci-fi trying to write themselves right now, and I'm like, I don't know if you can pull out of this nosedive.
I don't think they can.
The Expanse,
On which one?
so
Sci-fi.
good.
They're trying to rebrand
yeah,
themselves
yeah.
and go back to what they used to be, but I think they've
The
gone too
Expanse is
far.
so good, and the Magicians isn't bad, and the people who love it. So I think between the Expanse and the Magicians, they have a core programming if they can build out from it. But man,
Yeah.
it's just
But sci-fi, it's got to be so grand anymore. It's just people's tastes aren't what it was 15 years ago.
No, I mean, not
And they
really true.
they went through their horror phase, like you do, the monster phase that they did,
Yeah,
where
still in it.
sci-fi was horror monster, which it really wasn't. I remember when Sci-Fi
but
Channel
sci-fi.
premiered.
Sci-fi has been horror monster since before it was.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else? I mean, sci-fi was.
I miss
I mean,
Farscape.
there's a reason why Rocky
Oh,
Horror
yeah.
Picture Show is playing off of all the horror movies, is
Yeah.
because that's what sci-fi was through the whole 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, occasionally you'd get a Plan 9 from outer space, but most of it was
Boris
you know,
Karloff and
yeah, Son of the Wolfman.
yeah.
I was a teenage werewolf.
Oh, that's
Yes.
So if you are a writer out there, make sure that you innovate and keep from
Well, I
dying.
mean, you can even take something. I mean,
Well, there are no news stories.
well, I would say there's variations. I mean,
Oh,
like,
of
I took
course,
a dragon, and I put my own twist to it, and that's really what there is now. You
I
know,
think
your own
as
twist on
authors,
things.
The one thing that we say is it's already been done. It's just how you can make it better, or what the twist is you can bring into it, or
How you make it your own.
how you make it your own. And I, to be perfectly honest, find it very, very difficult, especially when I'm like writing this and someone's like, "Oh, you mean like this?" and then you totally get kind of
Stuck.
Screwed.
yeah, you get really discouraged, and then you don't want to do it anymore, and you're like, "Never mind, that's already been done. I don't want to do it."
Sit down to write the great American novel, and then you end up writing, The Old Man in the Sea, and you didn't even try to. You're like, that's what this dude who goes out on a boat, and you're like, oh, you mean like that? Well, now I do.
Well, now I do. Never mind.
Then you throw in aliens that come and abduct him and take him off to a far off planet.
I just steal
But isn't that
constantly and
Cocoon?
pretend it's cleverness.
That sounds really familiar.
So you know that. Let's Google it.
That's our big tip for writing. When you start writing something, just turn off the TV and just ignore everything
Well,
for 3 months,
No
like Daniel.
internet
Yeah.
surfing.
No, what I would say, finish it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's what
it out.
really got me
Yeah.
is because I would stop and edit and edit and edit. Once I
don't
get,
edit.
I
That's the
when I
very last thing
finished,
to
But
do.
when you
Then
realize
I
that
could
the
edit.
character's supposed to be a different way than what you wrote him your first time.
But
then I
here's
write
the-
down a note
Yeah.
and I go back to it after I'm done.
Well, that's why I can't discovery write. Is when I discovery write, I'll restart 5 times like Tolkien.
Yeah.
When I have an outline, I'll just barrel through.
Yeah, and everyone's different, of course.
Well, and it really, honestly, it
Whatever
boils down to
suits your needs.
Yeah, it also boils down to what type of writing are you going to
Yeah.
do. You can do discovery writing when you're starting from scratch with a couple of characters in a world that you don't necessarily have to map out entirely. Like Daniel, you said with yours, you had a couple characters and set in this world, so it's not too fantastical.
Yeah, so I didn't have
and
to
you
come
didn't
up
have
with a
to
lot.
do too much. But at the same time, you've got the other side, you've got that, the heist novel that has the thread inside the thread inside the thread, and if you don't map that out, you're going to spend your entire life just rewriting it to get it right, which you're going to do anyway, but it's a hell of a lot less.
And I also need to know what I'm going to say before I start writing something. Gotcha. Like right now, I'm having a real hard time with a short story that Wymore really wants me to write because I don't know what I want to say, and he took away the idea that I wanted to write. And, once you've lost your idea,
you're hosed.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Is that the Armageddon one?
Yeah. And I wanted to write about the singularity. But somebody else is already doing a robot apocalypse, and it's just too similar. Yeah. And now I've got nothing, and the time's ticking away, and I can't just write a short story. I have to have a statement on the human condition before I start what I'm doing, or else what's the point,
I had to dive into that one too. That's and I decided to do first person, which I'd never done before. And that character was screaming the whole time. It wanted to live, and I'm like, "Oh, you have to die. I have to kill everyone. I've already talked to James.
Rude.
Everyone must die."
Rude.
Yeah. So it was tough, and I had to do it with dragons.
Rogue One and went and ripped him off, and
no.
Well, come on, like we didn't know that's how Rogue One was going to end.
We knew.
I've been telling everybody that's how Rogue One was going to end for 3 years.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
going to end with them pushing a button and dying.
Yeah, as soon as they released that first image, you're like, they're all going to die, aren't they?
Yeah.
No.
Spoilers.
I saw Rogue One. Everyone's dying. All right.
Yes.
I won't watch it specifically for that reason.
Oh, no, you got to watch it.
No.
You will love
K2SO. Because
K2SO.
all of the characters that I will fall in love with will die, and then I'll go,
So what?
this movie sucks.
Everyone dies.
And I hate everything about
Do you love Han
Solo.
Solo? Do you love Han Solo?
It's the characters. You have to see it for one reason.
Guess what?
He's coming back.
Nope.
You have
coming back.
You have to see
wrong
Rogue
with
One
you?
for one reason. You have to see
Darth
Red
Vader.
5 die. So that Luke has a spot.
No.
They show it. It's great. It's just a half a second, but
You need to see Darth Vader.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Okay, so you've seen Darth Vader in all the films.
It's almost like he was turned on by that. It was a little weird.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you remember episode 2 where
2000
Yoda not only opens a
in
can,
our
but opens a
theater.
case of whoop ass at the end of that film, right?
Right.
Where Yoda does that. Now, anytime.
Imagine that as
Now, we
Vader.
saw Anakin as Vader before he got all, black cloak craziness. Kick some serious butt, but he's still in his human form. We had never seen as Vader with the mechanical and the light bright on his chest and the big cape kick ass. Like he's done
just
I'm
walks
gonna
around
force
like a
choke you
doofus.
from halfway across the universe, or I'm gonna I'm
gonna fight an old man in slow
I'm gonna fight an old
motion.
man, and I'm gonna throw some crap off a wall at my son. You have to see it in this because he comes within inches, literally inches, of getting the plans back physically, and. You thought
Taking away all the
Yoda
surprise.
You thought Yoda opens
I
a
am okay,
case.
I like
It is
spoilers.
insane. You thought
Well,
Yoda opened
so
it. It's,
Sam
what he does
Witwer
is wow.
Sam Witwer was the voice talent manager for the whole movie.
Yeah.
And he's my favorite actor, mainly because I just love everything about him as a person.
And he did Star Killer.
Oh, yeah.
He did Star Killer.
true.
He does he did Darth Maul.
Yeah.
He did the Emperor.
Yeah.
He does half the voices on the
Clone Wars, yeah.
on the
Yeah.
show. So he he was he directed all the voice talent in the movie and all that stuff. So he talks a lot about how they were trying to backfill everything. So a lot of that stuff was trying to explain David Prowse's performance.
Yeah.
Because the performance in Star Wars doesn't fit Empire at all, and so they're trying to explain why Vader is at an 11 the entire movie of Star Wars, because he never comes down. He's literally if he's just really just so pissed that's why he's like that the entire movie.
Yeah.
That explains it. They also said they called up. I think Gold Leader was dead, the actor, but they got Red Leader to come back and do some ADR.
Yeah.
And so he calls Red Leader and he says, "Hey, we're doing this Rogue One. Would you mind coming back and recording some lines for us? We'll use your image from the original and we'll just put some new lines." And the guy's like, no, I can probably work that out. This is for Star Wars? Star Wars, no. I mean, I could probably figure out a way to work that into my schedule. He sounds really kind of okay, whatever, kind of thing. And I know actually it was Gold Leader. Yeah, it was Gold Leader. Red Leader was Red Leader was the dead one. And he's like, okay, well, just get me your email address and I'll get back in contact with you. And he's been playing this all cool the whole time. His email address was something like goldleaderforever@hotmail.com.
They tell you one thing in the industry: you always agree that you'll glad to work with somebody, and then refer them to your agent.
Yeah.
I would love to work with you. Yeah, here's my agent. Call them.
He said that all the stormtroopers in Star Wars were recorded by 2 DJs in L.A., and so they're all at like a 4. On a scale from, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Their emotional reading is at a 4. Like it never gets higher than a 4. The entire movie, and so they would be sitting there, and halfway through the recording, the actual director is like, Do all of the stormtroopers have to sound exactly alike? And Sam just kind of turned to the director of the movie, and the guy's like, yeah, he's right. They really do. They really have to all sound exactly alike.
Sorry.
But yeah, with Rogue One, it ends like 30 minutes before Star Wars starts. Like literally
5 minutes.
Well, it may take a little while.
We don't know how long
get
this
there,
hyperspace jump takes.
We don't know how long that hyperspace, but literally,
It's 35 minutes.
It's like
It is 35 minutes.
35 minutes.
Yeah, for some reason that's kind of the number I was thinking in my head, but I didn't want to sound uber geek, Daniel.
Sorry.
About
I like Star
I
Wars.
But no,
I'm
like
excited for the new
it's incredibly good, and if
It
nothing
is
else,
disappointing that they kill off the characters.
No,
'Cause
it's
I
not.
feel like if they would have kept even just one alive,
No.
you would have actually like.
Hey,
lived
hey,
on.
hey,
Way
from
too
it.
much.
They did. We still have Red Leader, Gold Leader. We still have Akbar. We still have Mon
We lost the whole
Mothra.
Blue Squadron, but
Red 5 died.
We still have the
Red
Ghost
Squadron.
and her crew.
Or
We-
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, we still have the Ghost and her crew. There's a lot to survive.
But it's one of those like you feel bad
Mon
because the
Mothma
characters
lived.
Yeah,
died.
Mon Mothra.
You feel very
Hey,
bad
hey, hey,
because the
even
characters
better?
died, but you
Bail Organa lived.
the way they
So
die,
should have lived. That's all I'm
you
saying.
feel like almost it's like a sad but an acceptance. Like they die, but in such a good way. They have a good death.
I have a
The
simple
last two
answer.
guys.
I have a
Yeah,
simple
well.
answer. What is the second part of the movie's name? Wars. People die in wars.
Yes, but I feel like they had to kill everybody. They wanted to kill off everybody for an emotional reaction. It just
well,
wasn't.
no, I think they just had to kill him.
No,
I
they
mean,
had-
I
from a
think it went in
story
knowing we
standpoint-
have to kill off this whole group because
Yeah.
this is the Dirty
Well,
Dozen.
they had an
dying
alternate
to
script.
get
Like,
the.
Yeah.
they had an alternate script, and they said, okay, Disney won't let us do this. They won't let us do this. We're gonna have to change it into this alternate version. They kept waiting for that call to come, and that call never came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
well,
what
it was more
frustrates
than that. They just like what they're doing with Justice League. They went back and reshot.
No,
a
they
good
did not. They denied
portion
that.
Of Rogue One.
That's been denied. They did not reshoot any of Justice League. They have not.
He's very bitter about this.
Are you
No.
in denial? Or
No, they
did
had-
you not
they-
see
no.
the news report that came out.
I
like,
will. I'll send you the one
days
that came
ago?
out
They reshoot
yesterday.
every
They
movie.
didn't.
That's like
They
a
denied
question
the
of every
massive
film.
reshoots. They have done some reshoots, but they have not done the massive
did that for
amounts
every
that
film.
people
Oh,
are
okay.
talking about.
I was gonna say every movie has reshoots.
Is there
That's,
like, from what I read, there are people who are
It
actually
wasn't
working on the
Suicide
film that are
Squad
saying
or
that
Rogue One
they're coming
reshoots.
back at the direction of Warner Brothers and reshooting
Yeah,
a
no.
ton.
Apparently
Warner Brothers
all
said
feel
that's not
very
true.
strongly about
Of course,
that.
they're going to say that's not true.
Yeah, but the thing I really
I'm
like
excited for
with
Wonder
them
Woman.
killing
She's
off the
hot.
characters,
I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman.
because we always see, we've always seen the characters survive and get through, except for one or two every now and then. I like the fact they killed off all the characters because that's what happens in war. It was a real battle. They were on a planet with massive numbers of troops around them. Vader shows up. It was overwhelming odds. I love the fact that everyone died.
You know what they
And then
should
the
do?
Death Star blows up the
And
planet.
it was very Empire. Very
Yeah.
you lost at the end. Plus, think about it from a
Blow
writer's
up the planet,
standpoint.
shot it.
You're going back to basically a prequel.
Yeah.
How do you explain how all these badass everybody's
Characters
in love
aren't
with
showing up.
characters
Yeah,
don't
well,
show
that's
It's
up?
a big galaxy.
Not that big.
There's only one rebellion, and you saw all like 14 ships go after the Death Star at the end of.
And they can
A
only
New Hope.
retcon so many people. I mean, yeah, Rex
Yeah.
is in Return of the Jedi. Yay! They can't do that for everyone.
No, they can't.
Why was K2SO not through the rest of it? So I like the
He's a
fact they
droid
killed
on a
everyone
different
off.
ship.
Yeah.
We don't see Jar Jar's
And-
death, do we?
The big question is, why
I
is that
wish we
team
could.
not on the Forest Moon of Endor?
Yeah.
That's the
My
big
point
question.
exactly.
Because that team would have been the team on the Forest Moon of
Yes.
Endor if they had lived.
Yeah.
You see Han fall, but you don't see him completely die, do you?
Yes. Yes, you do.
Listeners, you can't hear it,
I
but
think-
she has the crazy eye.
Coming back.
The
I don't think she's
planet
in love with.
exploded.
I don't think she's in love with Han Solo as much as she's
Planet
in love with
landed on
Harrison
Chewbacca.
Ford.
I think she loves. I think she loves
And
Harrison
that-
Ford more than
Daniel,
Cliff
there you go.
Lockhart
This is
does.
what I'm
There you
saying.
go. There you go. An
I
entire
will say
planet
this, though.
landed on Chewbacca, and yet who's alive right now?
But,
Chewbacca. Oh, it's
but from,
possible.
But from that point on, he was dead until Disney killed the extended universe.
That's right.
so
it's
that's
possible.
that's a legend.
It's possible.
All I gotta say
It's
is this
possible.
Indiana
But
Jones
it wasn't
better be hella awesome.
What?
It's gonna be because
Oh,
Shia
yeah.
LaBeouf is in it.
After seeing,
Is it really?
He's not.
No, he's
after,
not in it.
after seeing,
Wow,
him
you made her
in-
pucker right there,
in-
man. It was
in
pucker
Force
factor.
Awakens, I don't know how it can be. He could not physically move in that movie.
Well, just seeing him in the new Blade Runner trailer. There's a scene where he runs,
It's
and he
so
runs
bad.
really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
old
he
man
al-
run.
But he always ran weird. Look
No,
at
it's
how
crazy.
in,
He's an
in
old
the
man.
first Indiana Jones
Well, I
movie,
know he always
He always
ran,
ran funky.
but he runs like Stanley
Like old
running
man.
from
Yeah.
Korea.
If you look at any of his movies, he really you never really see him run.
No, he doesn't
Even
run
in
a
The
lot.
Fugitive.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, he never really runs.
Except in the poster, they've got all this motion graphic. That
But yeah, you can
I'm going
easily.
back and rewatch
He's
The
like, I'm
Fugitive.
moving, but
That's
I'm
not
freezing.
CGI
All right.
at all.
So we've tangented. We've
Welcome
gone
to the
on.
Tangent Show.
Sorry.
Brought
That's
to you
what
in
we're gonna
part
call
by-
it, the tangent show.
You have all these writers
Stay
in
on
one
target.
room. And we
See,
can't-
Stay on
this is
target.
what happens. This is what happens when you want to write. Throw in a bunch of ideas into a pot. If something sticks, run with it.
And what surfaced? Sci-fi.
And that's what we did.
Everything that's I wanted to shout at my car or a stereo while listening to Dungeon Crawler's radio over the last 6 months came out.
Awesome. It all came.
That explains that look in your eye.
Why, Scott, do you like Gotham? It's horrible.
It's horrible to you, but for some of us, we enjoy it because guess what? Got renewed. Oh.
Yep.
Bam.
Just so Scott can
Yeah,
run
but
around in
it's
his underpants.
Fox.
We're out
I
here.
mean, they're bringing back Prison Break, dude.
Dude, that was awesome. Anyways, all right, we gotta go. We're out of time. We'll catch you next time.
See yous.
I am Groot.
Suck it.
Put your underpants on.